Hey folks, we're working on a cloud pour today. I have my colors all laid out. I've got a 12 by 12 canvas that I'm going to be working on today. So it's not going to turn out exactly round, and we're going to see how much that's going to bother me in a bit. Each of these paints are mixed up with 2 parts of paint, or excuse me, 2 parts of Floetrol to 1 part of paint. And I go by weight, so I measured out like 15 grams of paint and then 30 grams of Floetrol and mix it in. For my regular colors, we've got right here, this is a Paynes Gray by Amsterdam. You can kind of see the consistency. It's about a 2 to 3 second trace is what I'm looking for that gives you nice stable colors without much bleeding into each other. So that's this one. Paynes Gray by Amsterdam. You can see it's a semi-opaque. All right, next up we have, this is Amsterdam Blue Violet, Permanent Blue Violet. And it's right here. This one is transparent, and I'm putting it next to my cloud because I'm hoping that the cloud mix will lighten it up and make it kind of stand out a little bit brighter. So that is my Permanent Blue Violet. Then I have Amsterdam Permanent Red Violet. So I wanted to layer these on either side of the cloud. Here's this one. Again, it's transparent, so hopefully it'll do the same thing where it kind of stands out a bit against the cloud. The cloud brightens it up a bit because the other color that we're using, the Paynes Gray, is really, really dark. So that's my Permanent Red Violet. Let's see. Then let's get to that in a minute. Right here, I have this little Piggy Twinkle. It's a purple to blue to magenta interference, really, really beautiful. This one I have to mix up a little bit differently. So with the paints, I always mix up 2 parts of Floetrol, 1 part of paint. With the pigments, it's a little more difficult because it comes in a jar. Hold on one second. Grab that for you. So this is what the jar looks like, this little pigment Twinkle. You can see it's really shiny and shimmery and beautiful. So these you can't mix, well, I guess you can mix it directly into Floetrol, but I don't like to. So what I do is grab a piece, I don't have a big one right now, but grab like a piece of plastic, right? Hang on with me for a second. And then I take a squirt of my Jo Sonja gloss varnish. You can use a lot of different things to disperse the pigment, and originally I like doing it in Jo Sonja just because that's what I have around for doing me Shelly Art Blooms. So let's see, what do we have here? All right, so you know, obviously I wouldn't use a dirty one, but just take a piece of plastic, squirt, you know, a little, I don't know, like $50 piece, like a big glob of varnish. Then I scoop out a scoop of my pigment using a palette knife and drop it on there and mix it all up using a respirator. Always, always, always wear a respirator if you're working with pigments because they're mica powders and you don't want mica in your lungs. So mix it all up until all of the piggy is wet, all of the pigment is wet, and there's no dry particles left. And then what I do is add a big glob of, this is Gloss Super Heavy Gel. You can use heavy gel, gloss heavy gel, or just regular gloss gel, depending on how thick you want your pigment to be. Because I like mine pretty thick, the super heavy, they had it on clearance at Michael's, and that's why I got that one, because just the regular gloss heavy gel was not on clearance. So, you know, it's not really about functionality. It was more about price for me. But then you mix it up with your palette knife until it's completely smooth. And this will make it easier to disperse in the Floetrol once you get it into the Floetrol. If you don't mix it up well, you're going to have chunks, and those chunks are impossible to get out. Like once you've mixed it into the Floetrol, it's too late already. So, you know, I highly suggest making it smooth with that heavy gel first. And then add that to a cup, add Floetrol to it, mix it up. Again, using the same ratios, I usually end up with about 10 grams of the gloss varnish and the heavy gel and pigment all mixed up together. And then I add my 20 grams of Floetrol to that, mix it up, and this is what you get. So it's exactly, sorry, I just hit the stand, but it's the right consistency. It's leaving, you know, a 2 to 3 second trace before it disappears back in, and you get all of that beautiful shimmer that you'll see later. So that's how I mix up my pigments. Finally, we have our cloud mix. So it's just, this one is made with Artist Loft soft body acrylic paint in white and DecoArt Americana satin enamels in, I think it's pure white. Not seeing the color there, but yeah, pretty sure it's white. Oh, there it goes, right on the top, pure white. So that, to mix up the cloud mix, you can use half a part paint, half a part cloud mix, and 2 parts Floetrol to that. I've been mixing it a little bit thicker. I think it makes the clouds less transparent, but more stable. So I've been doing 1 part paint, 1 part satin enamels mixed with 2 parts Floetrol. So let's say, you know, if I do 10 grams paint, 10 grams satin enamels, and then 20 grams Floetrol to that. And that gives me a consistency that's about the same as the paints that I have. And that's what I'm going by really, is I want the cloud mix to be the same consistency as the other paints that I'm using, because I don't want it to sink and I don't want it to, I mean, it'll float a bit because it'll float up to the top, but I want it to be thick enough that it's not going to interact badly with the other paints. So that is the cloud mix. So for this 12-inch canvas, I'm going to need about 7 grams total, or 7 ounces of paint total. I've kind of marked off some lines on this cup. You can tell it's seen some better days. But the one on the bottom is 5 ounces, then 6 ounces, and then up to the line is about 7. So I'm going to try and fill it up to about that line. So the first paint that I'm going to start with is a little bit of the cloud mix because I want a really bright center. And I'm not going to use too much of it, but I do, let's see, I do want a bit. So I want to stay away from the cracks on the edge of my cup. I really need to get a new cup. All right, so we're going in with the cloud mix first. A little bit of the cloud mix, not a ton. Okay. Next up, I want to put my Twinkle because I want that to be right in the center of the painting. And on top of that, I'm going to put a really dark color. The interference colors like the Twinkle here doesn't show up super well against a white background. But it does show up super well against a dark background. Like if you want a really subtle look with a subtle interference, then I think on a white background is probably the way to go. But if you want that, that interference color to really shine, you need to use it against a dark background. So that's why I have my Paynes gray here. I wanted a really dark top and bottom. So I'm going to be using it twice. All right, so that's my Paynes gray. Come back for some more of you later. Next up, I have my red violet. And this is going on either side of my cloud mix in the middle. So we've got this red violet. I want a lot of it, so I am dumping this whole container in. Okay, that is that. Now I'm going to come in with the rest of my cloud mix. I don't have a ton here mixed up. It was just what was left from my last pour, so in we go with you, my little friend. Let me scrape some of this out. And we're going to follow that with the Amsterdam Permanent Blue Violet. And I'm going gonna dump this whole container in here. Go, my little blue violet friend. Gorgeous. Oops. Making a mess, as always. Get my hands. Okay, what's up next, man? We are rocking and rolling. Okay, so then I wanted to do, let's see, my Twinkle again. All right, and then I wanted to finish with my Paynes gray. I feel like I'm not gonna have enough paint for this, but maybe it'll be fine. I'll just dump the rest of this Paynes gray in here. Nothing like the sound of scraping a cup for paint. Okay. That is like not enough paint. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Okay, well, I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to bring you down a little bit, I think. So hold on, and I will move some stuff out of the way and move you down. Okay, so I've got my colors. We're all set up. I'm going to take some leftover paint that I have from previous cloud pours and put that down on my canvas. Stretch it out a little bit. You can see it's a little bit chunky. Not the best paint. That's okay. It's leftovers. We don't like to waste things, so let's make do with some chalks. Okay, so now we're all set with that. And we're ready to pour our painting out. So let's get started, I guess. All right. Got some paint chunks on the bottom here. All right, I want like kind of the center to be around these diagonal corners. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. All right, so let's pour this out. Man, that twinkle showing up against that Paynes gray is so pretty. Now we're getting to the red violet. Bring it up a little, bring it back a little, create some interest. And back to the center. And we're getting down to the Paynes gray at the end. I know you can't see it from your angle, but this twinkle is like outrageously sparkly over on the corners there. All right, now we're getting down to our very bottom. We've got our white cloud mix. It's making all kinds of cool cells in the cup. All right. going to do kind of a spirally ring pour. And don't screw up the dismount. I messed it up, as always. Some cool looking stuff in the bottom of my cup here. Okay, what do we got going on? Looks like we're a little off center. That's okay, because it's gonna get stretched out like crazy. It will be fine. All right, let's see if we can't get some more color around on these corners. Help it stretch out a bit. Oh, you know what I do have? I'm gonna put this around the edge and kind of schmooze it a little bit, but I do have another color that I can use. I just don't want it to show up anywhere, so I gotta be careful to get enough around the corners so that I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let's see, I need to fix that center because that is going to bug me. Ugh, I always do this. Just once, I would like a perfect spiral in the center without me having to fake it. That would be lovely. Okay, so, I have a different color that I can use around the edges to help it move off the canvas because we do not want it to have a hard time moving. So this paint is like terrible leftovers, and it's not really good for anything except for taking up space on a canvas and helping something else move. So it's got a lot of satin enamels in it, and it's if I use it as a base coat, it bubbles up, and it's just really not the most pleasant color. Ooh, that was a lot. All right. Okay, we'll kind of smush that around and see how we do. At least I can use it for something since I can't use it for a color. All right, so schmooze, get you around. It's definitely thin, so it's easy to move, but it also means when I was trying to use it as a paint, it didn't work very well to cover things. All right, I'm getting there. This is about to get super messy. Because I did not put this up on cups, which means it's just gonna do its thing. All right, what do we got happening in here? I'm gonna pop some bubbles. I hope some of these come out a little bit more. Okay, so now here comes the part that I am dreading more than anything. We have to tip this. So what I'm going to do is stretch it out a little bit towards the corners before going off. So I just want to move this toward the corner and then back. Until it paints in the middle. Move it down toward this corner. Oh yeah, some cool stuff happening. Sorry, I try to keep you in the frame. go towards this corner a little bit while we're schmoozing along. And back. Okay. This is not exactly what I had imagined. It never is, though. That's the funny thing about fluid art. You can plan everything, and often what you get is something entirely different. Okay, hold on there, paint. See, I told you I'm making a mess. I get paint everywhere. All right, back to center. And then let's make a plan. All right, so I want to go off. Do I want to do the top and the bottom first and then go side to side? Yeah, I think I do. All right, so hold your breath with me here. I'm going to stretch you out this way. You can do it, little painting. All right, and off we go. Back. And we're going to go down to the bottom. And back. Okay, it's about centered. So now we're going to stretch it out to the sides. And back. Here we go, last corner. And we'll take a look at it and see what we think. Sorry, I realize you can't see much of it. Maybe the higher angle was better. Down to the corner, you can do it. That's right, all the way. Ooh! That paint gets slippery. All right, now we gotta take that off a little bit. Pardon my mess up. There we go. Back to the center. Ooh. This is coming out quite nicely. I'll get it somewhere you can see it. Wow, am I covered with paint? Should have put it up on stands first. Lesson learned. All right, looking pretty good. What do you think? Whole little world in there, huh? Ooh. Oh man, that twinkle is something else, let me tell you guys. All right, so what do we got here? We got a couple of corners with purple, which I hate. Not that I hate purple, I just hate it here. So I'm gonna take a bit from the Sarah Mac playbook and get my corners with what's left in the cup, so I'm not left with like super gross corners. You know what I'm not really digging is this corner over here. It's just so much blue and not a whole lot else going on. So I wonder, I probably should have stretched a little more. I just like the other spots so much. I don't really want to lose a lot of it and ruin it, but it is bothering me. So let's try and hope I don't regret this. Okay, I don't want to lose any more than that, so we're going to bring it back. Let's turn it around and go back the other way. See what we're left with. Man, I love those cells at the bottom. Those are really cool. Back to the middle. I'm going to wind up with a bunch of blue anyway. What can you do? I guess schmooze a little bit more. Okay, I think we're pretty good. So there you have it. A galaxy in all different kinds of colors. Well, thanks for sticking around with me, you know, through all the talking and tilting and moving stuff around. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll take you in for a close-up in just a minute.